Kurt Cobain, one of the most iconic rock stars of all time. But was his anti-stardom persona genuine or part of an act? Let's unpack the myth of Cobain's genius. Fans have debated this for decades. Did Kurt really shun fame out of integrity? Or was it a carefully curated image to promote himself and the music? Kurt often seemed uncomfortable in the spotlight. He mocked press attention, dodged fan events, and dressed in the same casual, almost careless style. But was this genuine, or was it performance art? Now listen here to something that Lars Ulrich had to say about Nirvana as a band.
Being on the radio and doing videos for MTV and all that kind of stuff, but we really don't kind of want to be famous, that weird thing back and forth.
Now, my take is that if somebody shirks fame and stardom, the last thing that they would want to do is to put themselves out on video. And this is probably the case when it comes to Nirvana's videos. Kurt comes on record saying that he didn't really care about his videos, so there may be some truth to what Lars Ulrich has to say. But there's another thing to consider here, which is that Kurt's creativity was very real. His songwriting was raw and deeply personal. He drew on punk, pop, and heavy metal influences, blending them into something completely his own. He was a genuine creative artist who was making a new and somewhat visionary form of music. But here's where the debate can get a bit complicated, because some people think that Kurt's anti-fame act was just a put-on. It was a strategy. It was something that he was doing to gain attention rather than something that came from who he actually was. And this is something that other artists have done in the past. There are many artists, from Ritchie Blackmore all the way through to Bob Dylan, artists who act as though fame is a burden to them. So my question to you is, in regards to Kurt Cobain, genius, poser, maybe a little bit of both. His music proves undeniable talent and vision, but the public persona, the perceived raw authenticity, and the possibly curated image creates a bit of controversy in this one area. Now, personally, I lean toward the idea that Cobain was a creative genius who was uncomfortable in the spotlight, but I could buy the argument that he also was just uncomfortable with the fickleness of listeners and the public in general. Now, let me unpack that a little bit. What I'm saying is that it wasn't so much that he hated being a rock star, it was that he hated the burden of being a grunge star, someone who was locked into a certain type of image and a certain type of music that his fans expected him to create. In other words, a form of audience capture. And I think this may have brought him some stress, but I actually don't think he was a poser when it came to his disdain for the spotlight. There are other artists like Neil Peart that I would say were genuinely unhappy with the focus of attention being on them, so I think Kurt Cobain may have been one of those. But let me know what you think in the comment section below.
MusicGuru here, asking you to help us on our march to 10,000 subscribers.